Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and I thought we would do a video on array methods. Array methods are pretty important. You'll spend a lot of time in any programming language manipulating arrays. So while I'm going to do it in JavaScript today, a lot of the same premises. You'll look for the same types of methods in any programming language. So the methods I plan on covering today, so I'll just make a list so we don't forget. I want to cover join, I want to cover pop, push, splice, slice, filter, map, forEach, and shift and unshift. And sum. Cool. So the first one is join. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll console log the result of each of these. So what join does is that would take an array. So we have an array here. So it's just the numbers 1 through 10. Let's make it, get rid of one of those R's. My array. Now what join does, will combine all the arrays into a string. Okay, and basically let's show you a couple different versions. Console.log. Okay, if I just do my array.join, what that's going to do is going to create a string out of all the elements, and it's going to, by default, separate them by commas. Now, what if I want them to be like spaced? See. Then what you're going to do is that inside here, you'll put a space. Okay, quotation marks with a space. It's just whatever is inside the parameter. It's like this is what we're going to separate the different elements by. So let's save that and run this. So node array methods.js. Okay, see the first time it's comma separated, the second time it's separated by spaces. So this is a good way, especially like if you're talking about like phone numbers. So what you could do is like if you create an array that has like 4 elements, like the first number is 1, then the second array item is 3 numbers, and the second one is the third one's 4 numbers, then you can join them with like a dash and create a phone number type thing. It's a pretty useful thing. And just as a little bonus, what if you wanted to turn that string back into an array, or take a string and turn it into an array? Because that way you know how to go back and forth. Well, let's say my string, and I know this is not an array method, but it complements the join thing pretty well. My string equals hello world. Okay, so what I can do is I can do split. So my string dot split, and it works the same way. Basically, if I don't put anything in there, I'm pretty sure it'll just separate each letter. So we'll console log that actually. So console dot log. And if you do put something in there, and then it separates it based on that. So if I wanted to separate just based like on every word, then I would put like a space in there. So that way it only stops when there's a space. So it'd just be hello and then world. Without it, should be like HELLO. So let's see the difference. Oh, I didn't save. That's right. Saving would be good. Okay, so the first one just basically takes the whole thing. So if you want each letter, you would have to put in no space and quotation marks. Save. Let's just confirm that. And there you go. See, the first time, if you put in quotation marks with no space, it's like HELLO with the space getting its own thing. And then when I put in the space, hello world. And then again, that creates the array. I can manipulate the array, iterate over the array. Let's say I want to make sure that every letter is capital. I could take that array, capitalize all the letters, doing some iteration and testing whether it's capitalized, and then go back and join it afterwards. So that's kind of the two methods you really need to do some really like sophisticated like string manipulation. Cool. So let me comment that out. Oh. Next we'll do pop and push. Pop and push just basically mean think of it like a stack of paper. Okay, this is what they sometimes refer to as a data structure of a stack. Okay, the idea is that when I put something on a pile of paper, where do I put it? I put it at the top of the stack. And then when I take a piece of paper off, where do I take it from? The top of the stack. So it's always the last thing. Basically, whenever you add something, it's the last thing on the stack. And whenever you take something, you're taking the last thing off the stack. So the idea is that you're putting something in, taking something out of the end of the array. So if I console.log my array pop, I think it's just going to console log 10, because I think what it does, it's going to take 10 out of the array and then console log the 10 that it took out. So we need to separately console log my array afterwards, because shift and unshift are going to do the same thing but in the front of the array. My array, save. Let's take a look. Yep, so basically what happened here, what happened there? Oh, I see what I did. Pop. I just want to be my array. Save. Okay, so you see here, when I did pop, it pops out the 10, so it returns the 10. So if you just, for some reason, wanted that last number for like a particular operation, but you want to make sure that's removed from the array at the same time, pop's your friend. And then I can console log and see the array that no longer has the 10 in it. Now if I wanted to put the 10 back in, then I would do push. Push puts something at the end of the array. So if I were to push the number 10 back on there, we'd be back where we started. So you see I took out the number 10, and now there's no 10 in the array. I put back the number 10, I pushed it onto the array, and now the number 10's back at the end. So what's important is that pop and push always deal with the end of the array. If you want to deal with what's first in the array, then what you want is shift and unshift. So shift will remove the first element from the array, and then unshift will add an element to the front of the array. So watch here. Let me comment out push and pop. Oh, do it again. Save. So you see, when we did shift, it removed 1 from the front of the array, and see now the array does not have 1 anymore. And then we replaced it with 10. So we unshifted 10 into there, and now it's sandwiched with 10 and 10. So that's how shift and unshift work. But what if you wanted to remove something in the middle of the array? You have 2 methods to do this. You got to be careful what depending on what you're trying to do. Okay. So let's say you're just you want to cut out a chunk of the array into a new array. Then you're going to want slice. Okay, so let's console.log my array dot slice. And the way this works is that the first argument is where do you want to start the slice. So let's say I want to start slicing everything from like 5 on. Okay, so if I put that, but technically the number 5 would be array spot number 4. That'd be index 4, because again it's a 0-based index. Because so it'd be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 5 is going to be in the 4th spot. And if I just leave it at that, it's going to cut everything from index 4 to the end. Okay, so basically it'll cut out 5 through 10. But what if I only want to cut out 5 through 7? Well, I could put it up to 6, but it doesn't include that last spot. So I wanted to get that 6 spot, so I need to put it to 7. So when I do that, it's going to start cutting and take out 5, which is in spot 4. It'll take out spot 5, it'll take out spot 6, and stop at spot 7. So spot 7 will not be sliced. And then it returns the array of those elements as a return. So you could assign that slice to a new array if you wanted to. and then I'm not sure if it manipulates the original array. I think it does. So let's just double check. My array. Okay. So let's run that. 5, 6, 7. No, it does not manipulate the original array. So essentially all you're doing is you're making a copy of a piece. So again, I wanted 5, 6, 7, which is 4, 5, 6, which is why I put 7 here, because that's where I want it to stop. So remember that. The second parameter, it doesn't cut that index, but it cuts up to that index and then returns that chunk. So again, this is used if you just need a piece of that array to do stuff with. But it does not manipulate the original array. Now, another fun method, again, if you want to delete stuff in the middle, is splice. Okay, so what this does is that it's going to start cutting right at the index you choose, and then the second parameter is how many items do you want it to cut going forward. So let's say I actually do want to cut out 5, 6, and 7. So then it would be my array dot splice, and then I want to start with spot number 4, and I want to cut 3 items, 5, 6, and 7. So I want to cut out 3 elements. Okay, it's going to then return those 3 elements. So let's say I did want to do what I was going to do here. I want to cut out a piece, assign it to a new array, but I want it out of the original array. This is how you would do it. My array. So what's going to happen here, it's going to return to me 5, 6, 7, but here we'll see the array with those things taken out. So let's see. And that's what we see. See, we returned us 5, 6, 7, but now the array no longer has 5, 6, and 7. So this does mutate the original array. So this is a pure function in the sense that it does not mutate the original array. This is an impure function in the sense that it does mutate the data that was put in. Okay, important terminology, because you'll hear people talk about pure and impure functions. All it means is, does it change what you put in? Okay, so that's slice and splice. Okay, let's see what we got left. Splice, filter, map, forEach, okie dokie. We'll do some first. Some's pretty quick. Okay, let me create a different array. Let's say my array 2 equals. And what I want to do is, here we have the word 4. We have the word 5. We have the word 6. That's good enough. Now, what some will do is that you're going to run a test of, so basically like filter, map, and forEach, and sum are all iterative methods. They're all going to iterate or basically do a bunch of looping through everything in your array, but they're going to do something different. What sum does is that it loops through each item in your array and runs a test to see if it's true or false. If only one of them comes up true, then the whole function returns true. You're just asking, does any of this do this? So imagine you have like a roster of kids in a class, and you wanted to know if any of them were held back, just in general. You just wanted to know if that's the case. You could run a sum, and it would just tell you, yes, it's true. Someone in this class, or multiple people in this class, have dropped out or have been held back. It doesn't tell you who. For that, we can use filter, but it'll tell you this case is true. So it's used to, if you wanted to do like a test. So for like if statements, you only want this to happen if this is a case with at least one of the elements in this array. So watch what happens. Console.log. Okay. My array 2 dot sum. Now all of these filter, array, filter, map, forEach, sum, they're all going to take a callback or a function as its parameter, basically telling you, okay, what's the test that I'm going to run on each of these things? So just a normal arrow function. So put my thingy there. I have to give like a parameter. So we'll say value. Okay, and then we do do this whole thing. And we're going to say that each time, for each one, it's going to return value dot length, because it's going to be the length of that string. If the value of that length equals 4, is that true? Okay, so if at least one of the, if that's true for at least one of those, then it'll return true. Okay, so let's hit save, and let's see what it console logs. True. Now if I said 6, none of those words have 6 letters. So in that case, not even some of them are true, so it'll give me back false. And that's all sum does. But there are definitely some situations where that can be really useful in setting up some booleans. Okay, so let's get rid of that one. Okay, now next is filter. So what if I did want to just filter out the, I just want an array of the words that have 4 letters. This is where filter comes in. Console.log, and then it'll be my array2 dot filter, and like the previous, it's going to take a callback. Okay, so then we do that. So and basically each test again has to return true or false. That's what you need to return, because that's how it decides which things to filter out. So I want it to return, check does the value dot length of that value equal 4? If it does, then put it into my new array. So let's save it. Now we know 6 is the only one that doesn't have 4 letters, so it should be what's going to return to us is a new array. This is a pure function. So the original array will be unchanged, but what I could do is I could assign this return value to a new array if I wanted to, with just the stuff that I need. So let's see here. Oh, I made a mistake somewhere. Return value, oh yeah, I didn't put a parameter name. There we go, value. Save. Interesting. 4 equals 4 value dot, oh, I spelled length wrong. That would make a difference. Save. Oh, what did I just do? Oh, there we go. Save. There you go. Okay, so it filtered out 4 and 5. So that is filter. Okay, got a few more to go. And then there's map. So the way this works is that if you wanted to make a weird change to each array, you could do it and basically make the same alteration to every item in the array. That's what map does. And it returns, it doesn't change the original array. It just returns you a new array with the alteration. So it's also a pure function. So you can then assign it to a new array, and you have a new array with your changes, but you still have the old array in case you need it for anything else. So console.log map my array2 dot map, and again this is going to take a callback because it's going to just do whatever the callback says to each item. Now here you can pass in 2 parameters. The first one is the parameter that represents the value of each variable as you iterate, and the second one is the index. Like if you need the index number for any reason, because you are going to manipulate the original array, well, there's the index number, so that way you can use it. Okay, then we put our curly brackets. All I really want to do, and then whatever you return is going to be what the item is in the new array. So you could just create a whole array of like trues and falses or whatever. But all I want to do is just return the value, and I'm going to concatenate plus space 6. So it'll be like 5. It'll be like 4 6 5 6 6 6. Okay. My new array. It's just doing the same thing to each array. It's taking the value plus the string of space 6. And then what's going to do is going to return you that new array. So we'll see console log into the screen is the new array. And there it is. 4 6 5 6 6 6. Does the same thing to each one, returns a new array. So that's what map does. Very useful in React, because you can console log arrays of JSX to the screen. So that's essentially what it does, is that when you do a console, a map on a array in React, you are creating an array of JSX, which then renders onto the screen. Very, very useful. So that's neat. And then the last one is forEach. Okay, this does not create a new array. This just iterates. So we'll see what the console log returns. I don't think it returns a value. So, but let's say this would just mean you just want. It's basically the equivalent of doing a for loop. My array 2 dot for each, and then again you just do the same callback, and again value index. Oh, I did that wrong. I want to do it. Let me just read that carefully. Yep. So what I want to do is this value index, because I'm making an arrow function. Okay, and then this is going to just say, we'll say for each one we just want to console.log the value of the array. Okay, so we're just gonna, basically allows you to just do something for each one. Now we'll see what happens if I do return the value. Does it give me back anything? We'll find out. It'll at least console log each one, return. Actually, let's return the index, see what happens. I'm pretty sure it does not return a value. Yep. So basically it console logged 4, 5, 6, it just iterated and did whatever I wanted to do. So maybe I just need to do some sort of repetitious action for each, but I don't need a new array. I don't need to manipulate the array. I just need to iterate over the array. For each does that for you. Cool. I think I went through all the methods we wanted to go through today. So let's see here. Sum, unshift, shift, for each, map, filter, slice, splice. Yep, we did. So those are array methods. There's a few more. But this will definitely get you through a lot of situations, especially with a lot of different coding challenges. So you want to be really comfortable with these because they're very useful very regularly. So practicing them, being aware of them, watching this video a couple times, and do share this video with your friends. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Do check out my website, alexmercedcoder.com, for articles, videos, all sorts of great stuff. So that way you can become a better developer. We do have a dev networking Slack channel, so you can meet other devs, get encouragement, ask for advice, mentorship, be a mentor. So all good stuff. So thank you guys for checking this video out. I'll see you guys later on. Have a great day and enjoy.